My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm 62 years old. I've lived a good life, raised 3 beautiful children, built a career as a high school English teacher, and loved my husband Marcus for 37 years. Or so I thought I did. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I was grading papers when my phone rang. It was Marcus's colleague, Dr. Chen, his voice tight with concern. "Sarah, Marcus collapsed at work. We're at Presbyterian Hospital. He's in intensive care." Hands shook as I drove through the morning traffic. Marcus, my Marcus, strong, dependable, always there. We just celebrated our anniversary 2 weeks ago. He'd given me a silver bracelet and told me I was still the most beautiful woman he'd ever known. At the hospital, the sterile smell hit me first. Then the sounds, beeping machines, hushed conversations, the shuffle of nurses' shoes on linoleum floors. I rushed to the ICU, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. But when I reached his room, something stopped me. A nurse, young, maybe 30, with kind eyes, gently touched my arm. "Mrs. Mitchell," she whispered, "please, come with me. Trust me." Her urgency was palpable. She guided me into an adjacent supply room, barely more than a closet. "Wait here," she said softly, "just for a moment, please." Through the crack in the door, I watched, and then I saw her. A woman entered Marcus's room. She was younger than me, maybe 50, elegant, with dark hair swept into a neat bun. She wore a navy dress, pearls at her neck. She moved to Marcus's bedside with the familiarity of someone who belonged there, and then she leaned down and kissed his forehead. Not a friendly kiss, a lover's kiss. "Oh, Marcus," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please don't leave me. Not now. Not after everything we've planned." My world tilted. I gripped the doorframe to steady myself. The nurse appeared beside me, her hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry," she breathed. "I recognized you from the photo on his phone. I thought you should know before you walked in there." Couldn't speak. I could only watch as this woman held my husband's hand, stroked his cheek, whispered words of love into his unconscious ear. "Her name is Diana Hartwell," the nurse continued quietly. "She's been visiting him here before, listed as his emergency contact on some paperwork he filled out last month for our wellness program." I remembered because it seemed odd. The pieces fell into place like shattered glass, forming a terrible picture. The late meetings, the business trips that seemed more frequent, the new cologne, the way he'd started working out, losing weight, buying younger style clothes. 37 years, 3 children, a whole life, and all of it had been a lie. I don't remember leaving the hospital. I sat in my car for an hour, maybe more, staring at nothing. Then something inside me shifted. Not anger, not yet. Just a cold, clear certainty. I went home. I opened Marcus's study, the place he'd always called his sanctuary, where I rarely ventured. I found the credit card statements he kept locked in his desk. Restaurants I'd never been to. Hotels. Jewelry purchases. A lease agreement for an apartment downtown, signed 18 months ago. 18 months. While I'd been making his favorite dinners, planning our retirement, dreaming about growing old together, he'd been building an entirely separate life. That night, I made some calls. To my daughter Jennifer, who's a paralegal. To my son, Michael, who works in finance. To our family attorney, whom Marcus considered a friend. And I planned. Marcus survived. He came home 3 weeks later, weak, but recovering. Diana never showed her face again. Imagine someone warned her off. Marcus never mentioned her, and I didn't either. Not yet. I became the perfect wife during his recovery. Caring, attentive, loving. I made his favorite meals, helped with his physical therapy, sat with him during the long afternoons. He seemed grateful, even tender. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Sarah," he said one evening, tears in his eyes. "You're my rock. You always have been." I smiled and patted his hand. "We've been through so much together, haven't we?" What he didn't know, I'd already transferred our joint savings into my name alone legally, as Michael had advised. I'd documented everything I'd found. I'd quietly consulted with 3 different divorce attorneys, building my case brick by brick. I'd also done something else, something that surprised even me. I'd tracked down Diana Hartwell's husband. His name was Robert. He was a kind man, pediatrician, completely unaware of his wife's double life. We met at a quiet cafe across town. I showed him the evidence photographs, receipts, messages I'd found on Marcus's laptop. Robert wept. Not dramatic sobs, but the quiet tears of a man whose world had crumbled. 23 years, he said. We have twin daughters in college. I know, I said gently. I'm sorry to bring you this pain, but you deserve the truth. We sat together for a long time. Two people bound by the same betrayal. And in that shared grief, something unexpected happened. We became friends. 6 months later, when Marcus was fully recovered, I sat him down at the kitchen table. I placed the divorce papers in front of him, along with the folder containing every piece of evidence I'd gathered. Sarah, he started, his face going pale. Don't, I said calmly. I know about Diana. I know about the apartment. I know about all of it. He tried to explain, to apologize, to promise it meant nothing. But I simply stood up, picked up my purse, and walked toward the door. The house is mine, I said. Your retirement accounts have been divided according to state law. You have 30 days to move out. My attorney will be in touch. But, Sarah, I love you. Turned back to look at him one last time. This man I'd built a life with. This stranger, you loved the life I gave you, said quietly. But you never loved me enough to be faithful to it. That's the difference. And I left. The divorce was finalized 8 months later. I got the house, half of everything, and my dignity intact. Marcus married Diana 6 months after that. According to Jennifer, they seem happy, though she wouldn't know about the massive debts Diana brought into the marriage, something else I discovered but kept to myself. Some revenges are quiet, long-term affairs. Robert and I still meet for coffee every few weeks. We've become genuine friends, bonded by our shared experience, but not defined by it. He's a good man who deserved better. So am I. I've learned something in these past 2 years. Betrayal can either destroy you or refine you. It can make you bitter or make you wiser. The choice, ultimately, is yours. I chose wisdom, and in doing so, I found something I'd lost along the way myself. I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm 64 now. I travel, I write, I spend time with my grandchildren. I've learned that love without respect is just a beautiful lie, and that sometimes the greatest act of self-love is simply walking away. The nurse who warned me that day, her name was Emma. I sent her flowers every year on the anniversary of that terrible, transformative day. Because sometimes, kindness comes from the most unexpected places, and sometimes, the person who saves you is the stranger who simply tells you the truth.